I lost my brother in a motorcycle accident 3 weeks ago at the age of 21. This was sudden and devastating beyond measure. I live 3 towns away from my entire family and I didn't know about it right away. My husband was calling when I walked into the room, where my phone on vibrate and charging. I answered and he asked why I didn't answer my sister's calls. I asked why and whether she called him. He said yes, then proceeded to tell me he received the news of a family member's death from her. I was shaking at this point while I was waiting for him to tell me more, but he said, "Guess who?" I angrily told him to stop it and tell me, but he still thought it's fine to ask me to guess. That's when I lost it on him, because my nerves were done. I yelled at him, then hung up and immediately called my sister, and she told me it was our youngest brother. I had an awful reaction, because this is my baby brother that I adored so much, and my husband knew how much I cared about him. I drove to my hometown 6 hours away by myself, and my husband was mad after he found out I didn't wait for him to take him with me. I told him I didn't want him there after how he treated me and played my emotions like that. He said he was trying to prevent me from being traumatized and didn't want to dish the news all of a sudden. He wanted to come, but I said I'd have kicked out if he showed up, which got him pissed, yelling that I had no right to rob him if saying goodbye to his favorite brother-in-law. He said my anger was misplaced and I was taking it out on him for no reason other than being the bearer of the bad news, and that nobody wants to be that person, but he tried to be as nice as he could about it. I haven't talked to him ever since, despite him calling me to come home so we can talk. What a way to make it worse. It isn't exactly nice to delay the information and play the "oh, guess who suffered a sudden and premature death" game. It's disrespectful to anyone, including your dead brother. And it's truly screwed up to say that your anger is misplaced and you shouldn't feel that way. That's emotional manipulation and gaslighting. And he's even blaming you for the entire ordeal, not only completely disregarding your feelings and not supporting you through this time, but shifting the blame to make it look like it's entirely your fault. Way to go. What an idiot. Your brother was in a horrific accident. And your husband felt it was time to play a guessing game? What an absolutely cruel idiot. I would consult a divorce lawyer immediately. This is way beyond idiot territory. Why would you want to be with a person like that? I would be done. Absolutely 100% done. His point about the bearer of bad news doesn't wash. He should have just told you straight who had died. I am so sorry for your loss. My heart goes out to you and your family. The fact that his reaction since hasn't been to profusely apologize along the lines of "I don't know what the hell is wrong with me, that was an awful thing to do" is very telling. Instead, he's doubling down and angry with you. This is not a man I would personally want in my life. Even if he thinks he didn't do wrong, he should see how badly it hurt you and "oh, I don't know" care. His behavior shows me he cares more about being right and winning the argument than he does about your feelings or your marriage. What he did was bad enough, but without owning it and apologizing, he might be one of the biggest idiots I've read about in a while. My ex-husband and I got divorced 10 years ago and both quickly remarried. We have a daughter, 14, for whom we share custody. My daughter has 2 step-siblings, 15 and 13, and lives at my ex's house for 2 weeks, then switches over to our house for the next 2 weeks. My husband and I are well off and can provide our daughter with a lot of things my ex and his new wife can't provide their children with. This has caused some issues and jealousy in the past, but nothing too major. The issue? My new husband and I want to send our daughter to an expensive boarding school starting next year. My husband went there and had some of the best years of his life according to him. It'll be expensive, but we've talked it through and we can spare the money because we want to take advantage of any opportunity to give our daughter the best life we can, which in this case would be an education and experience that many would dream of. We have talked about it with our daughter and she seems super excited about this opportunity. My ex seemed to like this idea at first, but has shut it down after talking to his new wife. Apparently her children already hate our daughter for being rich, and this will most definitely cause even more resentment. This led to an argument. I think if we have the ability to provide a better education for our daughter, it's our responsibility as parents to do so. It is unfortunate for my daughter's step-siblings, but sadly life isn't always fair, and that's a lesson they need to learn. My ex thinks I shouldn't further the class division between my daughter and their kids, because it would only lead to more resentment. I can understand how my ex and his wife feel, but I think they are denying our daughter a chance of having something great. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If I was your daughter and I had to give up a great opportunity for myself because my father's wife's children couldn't afford it, I would be hurt and I would be angry. If anything, I would want to distance myself more from the other children and blame them, since clearly it was their jealousy that got rewarded and negatively impacted my life. This might seem harsh, but tell your ex that if your daughter asks why she wasn't allowed to go, you won't lie to cover up for them. Then ask how well he thinks that will help blend their families. Your step-siblings are not your responsibility. If they hate this idea so much, they can talk to them about this themselves and explain why your daughter gets these opportunities and they don't. I imagine they're more jealous about material things than boarding school, to be honest. You talk to your daughter about it, ask for her opinion, which many parents don't do, and she wants to go. Who is your ex and his wife to tell her she can't have good opportunities paid for entirely by you and your husband because the children she's not related to don't like it? Not the idiot. I'm wondering if the op's daughter's excitement at the thought of going away to boarding school isn't low-key due in part to the jealous step-siblings. They already dislike and resent her, and this would get her out of those obligatory 2-week stretches with them. Sounds like the stepmom also resents her, so I'm guessing her visitation times at the dad's house aren't exactly pleasant or enjoyable for her. Get out of that crap, plus also get a decent education. Sounds like a win, and sounds like the step family is just a bunch of crabs in a bucket. I got pregnant really young, when I was 18, with my daughter Kaylee. It was a 2-week fling with guy from my university. We were both addicts with a tumultuous upbringing. I found out I was pregnant when we broke up, aka stopped sleeping together, but remained friends. I got clean after I found out I was pregnant, but he couldn't. For the first 2 years of my daughter's life, he saw her sporadically every few weeks, but his living situation wasn't safe enough for him to have overnights. In the meantime, when my daughter was 3 months old, I got together with my ex-husband, who is stable, dependable older guy, 25, with a job and a house. We fell in love and I moved in with him. We got married when Kaylee was 15 months old. We had a stable and loving marriage which faced a couple of roadblocks because of my multiple miscarriages. When Kaylee was 7, my ex confessed that he was in love with another woman and wanted a divorce. I was heartbroken, but we kept things amicable because he still wanted to be a part of Kaylee's life as a father figure. He moved away abroad with his new wife soon after. A year after my divorce, I found out that Kaylee was sick. It was like a switch had flipped and Kaylee's dad got clean and turned his life around. We became a team determined to save our daughter. Kaylee fought valiantly for 4 years until her little body couldn't take it anymore. Although my ex had moved back in the country a year before Kaylee's passing, I didn't tell him about her being sick. He found out about Kaylee's illness and death from a mutual friend and is pissed that I didn't tell him about it. He now wants to be a part of the funeral with his wife and new baby and me, and Kaylee's dad are really uncomfortable with it. Half of my family thinks that we should invite him since he was a father figure for 7 years of her life, and the other half thinks it will invite drama. Kaylee's dad is totally against the idea. Would I be the idiot if I don't send him an invite? If I'm understanding this correctly, your ex-husband said he wanted to stay involved in your daughter's life when you guys split, but then he was so uninvolved that while she spent 4 years fighting what turned out to be a terminal illness, he didn't even know she was sick or had passed. And now he found out and suddenly wants to be included. I'm so sorry for your loss, and you do whatever you need to make your way through this grief process. How your ex-husband feels is honestly irrelevant, as he chose his new family and disappeared for those very important and difficult years. You're the mother who has just lost her daughter, it's what you are able to bear. Not what he is able to bear and his feelings about it. Sorry, but you want this day to be about Kaylee, your daughter, not about some dude who played house and decided to leave. And if he does come, don't let him bring his wife and kid, you don't need that all right now. You don't need it at all. So what, he was a father figure for 7 years, you're her mother, and get to set all the ground rules you want to lay your daughter of her whole life to rest. Seems like your ex did not even know she was battling a terminal illness, nor passed until someone told him. Meaning for 4 years he was nowhere to be seen, while he built a new life with another woman. 1 year he was even in the same country and still did not know. He had moved on. Clearly. He wasn't interested in being a father figure to her anymore. So why does he want to be one in her death? That doesn't sit right with me. especially because he wants to bring his new wife and the baby he was too busy with to see Kaylee. That don't sit right with me. Hubs, 33, and I, 26, have a 6-month-old baby boy. Hubs and I are in agreement about chores and everything. We do everything equally except I used to have this one issue, and that's getting up with my son at night. He'd leave this task to me claiming he's too tired to get out of bed. Every time my son wakes up at night, which is 3-4 times a night, I'd wake Hubs up and ask if he want to get up with the baby, but he'd say since I was awake, then I should do it. Every single time since our son was born. I had enough, so I started faking sleep whenever our son wakes up. It worked for an entire week. Hubs would wake up when our son start crying and then look me while I fake sleeping and quietly start whispering my name, but I keep pretending to be asleep. Hubs then would sigh and mumble something, then get out of bed to see the baby. He started asking me about my excessive sleep to the point where I don't hear our son crying and forcing Hubs to handle it. He found out yesterday while I was telling my sister about it on the phone. He blew up saying I'm playing childish games and not my son's needs first like I'm supposed to. I said that I'm too tired of picking up his slack for 6 months then being shamed for wanting him to help. He replied, boo-hoo, I get no credit for being a parent. I don't deserve a medal since I get up with the baby, not climb Everest. He literally said, just wait till mom finds out about what you've been doing to our son. The argument escalated and his mom called me neglectful towards her grandson and my husband's work. She said I was being unreasonable since getting up with a baby is my duty and hearing my son cry should wake the motherly instincts in me, but instead I was being petty and, like her son said, childish for pulling crap like this on a hard-working man who needs sleep to function at work. They both kept giving me hell for what I did, and Hubs has officially moved into the other room after he said he called my bluff. Basically washing his hands of nightly childcare and leaving it all to me as a punishment for my disgraceful acts. Edit. Yes, he always gets his mother involved, saying things like, she'll set you straight and she'll handle your shenanigans. She is so intimidating and I try to avoid her loud mouth as much as I can. We both work, but now I'm on temporary leave. Don't know if this will continue when I go back to work, honestly. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. But I would put my foot down and demand relationship counseling because a grown husband and father can't go running to mummy dearest when he's mad at his spouse. You need to share night feeds when you have an infant. It can't just be one person's responsibility. But the way you're going about things isn't the right way either, so yeah, relationship counseling. Now, if he refuses to go, I guess you know you'll need to make a decision about your relationship. I know what I'd do. Not the idiot. He should be helping too, otherwise isn't he being neglectful by his mom's rationale? When I went on maternity leave, I did the majority of wake-ups, but my husband stayed up later than me, so he was in charge of that time until he went to bed. That helped a lot. But if baby is waking up 3-4 times a night once you're both in bed, that's a lot, and he should really step in. I'd suggest sleep training baby because they're old enough, and that would be a huge help. However, it sounds like there's a lot of discussion needed about childcare responsibilities. If it's your motherly job, I'd be petty and make as much noise as possible every time and stop letting him take care of, bond with, and play with the child. Clearly, your mother-in-law and husband feel that he works so hard to provide for your family that he can't possibly have time to help with the baby. And you'll be so busy caring for the baby because of motherly instincts you won't be able to schedule visits with mother-in-law. Not the idiot. He's a parent and should act like one. He's acting like a second child. Zero reason to put up with this adult hissy fit. So, my girlfriend and I were gonna go on a trip with her car and we were working out how to split the gas correctly. Her idea was to collect all of the receipts every time we fill up on gas, then in the end we will simply divide it by 2. I explained to her that this method is not very accurate and suggested a more accurate and fair method. Told her that before we leave, she'll fill up the tank. Every time after that, when we go to the gas station to fill up again, we will split every fill. Then, when we return, we'll fill the tank and split that. She didn't understand this method at all and claimed that if we do it my way, she'll be spending more money. I tried to explain to her in so many different ways and she just wasn't getting it. She offered to do it my way and said she trusts me, but I was determined to make her understand. After explaining it so many different times, she told me she got it. I was happy. I told her we can do it her way. We go on the trip and the tank is almost full before we leave. We intend on splitting every single time. We arrive home and the tank is about halfway full. I asked her what she wanted to do about the gas and she offered me $20 in compensation for the remaining gas in the tank. To challenge her, I asked her how she knows it's $20 on the dot. She said she's just estimating. I ended up getting angry and told her that this is why her method isn't accurate and we should have used mine instead. She offered me $30 instead if that'll make me happy. Then she suggested that we go fill up the tank and split that, to which I explained that wouldn't work because we didn't leave with a completely full tank. In the heat of the moment, I called her freaking dumb and she ended up crying. I told her she was playing the victim and needed to get more self-esteem. I was angry because I had spent so much time trying to explain my method. She told me she understood it, only to demonstrate a complete lack of understanding. I tried calling to apologize and texted her a bunch of times telling her that I went too far and I didn't mean to call her dumb, I meant to call her method dumb. She said she's angry at me because we went on a trip with her car, which adds to the wear and tear of the vehicle, kilometers put on there, etc., which is stuff she'll have to pay for, yet I'm causing drama over $20 worth of gas. To me, the point wasn't how much the gas cost. It was about trying to prove to her why her method of splitting gas wasn't accurate and I was just frustrated. Am I the idiot here? I know calling her dumb went over the line and I'm not excusing that. But I think my anger was justified. You're the idiot. You should have just been nice and split all the gas since her car was being used and the wear was on her car. It was not much money and she even offered you a little money to compensate. I'd prefer her more simple way as well. When someone else drives I tend to hand over a little extra money because they are using their car putting on more miles etc. They will need an oil change sooner etc. Your way isn't the only way and you seemed so bothered that she might not have understood. It wasn't worth fighting over in my opinion. You're the idiot. You don't call your girlfriend dumb. And more insulting to call her freaking dumb. That would be unforgivable to me. You don't blow up over a few dollars. You don't blow up because she doesn't care as much as you do to settle everything exactly by the penny. And she's right. You are benefiting from her car and probably should pay more in gas than she does because she's providing the vehicle and will have to pay for new tires earlier, an earlier oil change, windshield wiper fluid, and other wear and tear items on the car. You're the idiot. Your method favorizes you. You're using her car. Collecting receipts and splitting them even is a great way. You are an arrogant prick set on being right when you can't even see that her method is also giving you extra gas for free. None of your anger is justified. None. If my boyfriend would have nitpicked this much and tried to be such an idiot and then insulting, I would ask for wear and tear at the rate insurance ask. Which is 34 cents per mile by the way in the United States. You are an idiot of epic proportions.